My name is Kara Slaughter. I'm giving a speech today on Ronald Reagan's speech, Remarks at the Brandenburg Gate. Mr. Gorbachev, open this gate. Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. Those are the infamous words that President Ronald Reagan used to stir the people of Berlin and eventually led to the falling of the Berlin Wall. Although this speech helped lead to the tearing down of the wall, so did many other events, including the will of the people, the support of surrounding countries that helped the people of East Berlin obtain their freedom. Ronald Reagan's Remarks at the Brandenburg Gate speech provides a prime example of a speech that not only promoted national betterment, but world betterment as well. Ronald Reagan's speech at the Berlin Wall was a major marking point for a long, tireless fight between East and West Berlin that not only involved Germany, but affected the rest of the world as well. Ronald Reagan was born on February 6, 1911. He was the 40th President of the United States, and before his presidency and term in the government, he was an actor, and he began his presidency starting out as a Democrat, but eventually was a Republican in 1962. He raised morale and the pride of the people, and it is said that he helped to create a safer and better world. He has been to Berlin before, giving multiple speeches, but he delivered this one commemorating the 750th anniversary of Berlin. He is known as one of the most influential presidents. The Berlin Wall was built in 1961. It was built to prevent the movement of people from east to west. East Germans were supported by the Soviets, who were communists. This wall is referred to as the Wall of Shame, sometimes known as the Iron Curtain. Before the wall went up, approximately 3.5 million East Germans circumvented the immigration restrictions and crossed into West Germany, where the full freedom was given. The building of the wall prevented this from being able to happen. Europe was divided, and Britain, France, and the US were some of the allies with West Germany, while Poland, Hungary, and the Soviets were some of the allies with East Germany. With the erection of the Berlin Wall, East Germans were no longer able to immigrate to the West. Families were split, jobs were lost, and East Germans faced the harsh reality that their freedom from communism lay on the other side of the wall. Reagan, being the man and the speaker that he was a perfect person to give a speech that not only moved the people, but in the end led to the tearing down of this wall. Reagan felt that the Western democracy was the best hope for the opening of the wall. He said that we believe the freedom and security go hand in hand together. In his speech, Reagan stated that he noticed words crudely sprayed across the wall, perhaps by a young Berliner. This wall will fall, beliefs become reality, is what it said. In reaction to this, he stated that yes, across Europe, this wall will fall, for it cannot withstand faith, it cannot withstand truth, and the wall cannot withstand freedom. The wall was a prominent reminder of the separation between freedom and totalitarianism. Reagan remarked later on when reflecting on his speech, that East German police kept trying to push people away from the wall, so they couldn't hear the speech, and that they simply didn't realize that it was going to take more than that to keep out the stirrings of freedom. Former West German Chancellor Helmut Kohl stated that he was standing near Reagan when he challenged Gorbachev to tear down the wall. He said that it was a stroke of luck for the world, especially for Europe, that he was there. The wall strained the relationship that the United States had built with the Soviets, and when it was torn down, this allowed them to rebuild their relationship. In his speech, Reagan said the following words: "We in the West stand ready to cooperate with the East to promote true openness, to break down barriers that separate people, to create a safer, freer world. And surely there's no better place than Berlin, the meeting place of East and West, to make this start." Not only was he speaking to the freedom of the people of Berlin, but to working to provide a fresh start for the different allies in the world and set up compromises in relationship with the different sides. The history that occurred in Berlin and the struggles that surrounded it led to the construction of the wall. Despite that, the hope and the fight that the people and the moving speeches that included Reagan's led to the tearing down of this wall. Ronald Reagan gave a speech on June 12, 1987, that forever changed history and encouraged and provided the freedom of the people of Berlin from the reign of totalitarianism. In his speech, Reagan said that standing before the Brandenburg Gate, every man is a German, separated from his fellow men. Every man is a Berliner, forced to look upon his scar. But I find in Berlin a message of hope, even in the shadow of this wall, a message of triumph. I think Reagan knew though the Berlin Wall would remain forever a part of history, it was not to become a part of Berlin's future. Are there any questions from the audience?
Why did you say Reagan was the perfect person to give that speech? What made him the perfect person?
Reagan was known for as a good speaker and a good leader, not only in the United States, but when he gave speeches elsewhere. He definitely provided a lot of hope for people. Not only that, he also had a way with words and a way to communicate his message very fluently and like in a way that people would want to react positively to what he said.
Do you know what types of films he acted in? Was it prior to his presidency or after his presidency?
I think he was an actor prior to his presidency, but I'm not familiar with what he actually acted in. It's a big question. What else?
What made you choose this topic?
The speech has always been one that stood out to me in history that was very influential with the people. This speech, when it was given, did not get a lot of coverage by the media because of the events that were going on during the time. But the United States and other people who weren't involved in the actual events realized later how big of a speech this was and how impactful it had on the, city of Berlin and the people around it.
So you said families were split. Like, how were they split?
During the time that the wall was up, people from East Germany were given special, certain rights if they had, if they were granted it from the government to go visit people on the West, and people from the West sometimes had jobs that were in the East. And when the wall was completely built and shut off, then they sometimes were on one side or the other when it completely got closed off. So they got stuck on that side and they couldn't get across to the other side, and they ended up being separated from their family. And when the wall was torn down, you can see in footage and in the videos and in some of the pictures, families being reunited and finding their other family members for the first time.
Do you know if families ever tried to get to one another when the wall was still standing, or if any were successful?
I think there was families that tried to get to it because they said that there was over 100 deaths of people who tried to crawl over the wall or try to find ways around it. But the wall had was fully armed by guards and had a lot of barbed wire and ways to keep people from doing that. And yet people still tried to do it. So there's a number of deaths, but they won't say how many is it.
Do you know if they were able to communicate with their families at all?
I don't think that they were able to. I think everything was pretty much cut off from each other. Thank you for listening to my speech on the speech that Ronald Reagan gave at the Brandenburg Gate, which led to the tearing down of the Berlin Wall, the freedom of the people of Berlin, and the beginnings of a better world.